Shouts out BigSteve.
Welcome again to another episode of the Big Brand MMA podcast. I'm your host, like always, BigSteve. Home stretch, 2 more episodes. This is episode 8, Barlow and Forrest. I'll do a quick little overview and then we'll get straight into it. Last week, best episode in terms of profit since episode 1. I think 1,200 and something. A lot of dogs. When there's a lot of dogs, I usually feel the urge to play them all, but I know all of them not going to win, so I'm happy with my selection. So passed on the first dog. I didn't like how small he was. The 2 silvers. I took some Luciana. I'm happy with that play. I mean, a little bit unlucky she didn't get a finish in the 3rd round, or maybe just get up a little bit early in rounds 2. Forgot his name, Alan. Yeah, that was a beautiful play. Had a quarter unit on him to win 500. And then the biggest play was the under 1.5 in the Gadziev. That's quite easy. Dropped him and then submitted him. Even gave him some top time. Just a levels fight, a setup fight. So yeah, it's good to be back after a big losing week 2 weeks ago. And avoid obviously the other 2 losing dogs. The only thing I regret on is missing on the under 2.5 in the Brazilian Montello fight. That was a pick'em. But yeah, reads are there. And let's bring on my guest, Mr. Pepe. How are you, mate?
Yo, bro. I'm not used to looking so small on these videos. The show that I do, I'm like large screen, so it's gonna take a little getting adjusted to squinting at myself. I'm usually like checking myself out to see if I look all right, but
yeah, this is a humble show, bro. It's not about our faces. I know. Yeah, you were on here first before that show, so you should be used to it.
Yeah, I just like when I'm doing my show, I just stare at myself the whole time. It kind of helps me stay focused when I'm not like looking at like the plays that I have on my phone. But yeah, thanks for having me on, bro.
Anytime, man. It's a bit last minute, but yeah, happy you jumped in. My guest should be back next week. He's all over the place with family stuff, but yeah, it's good to have a guest.
Yeah, I don't mind being your side piece for the Contender Series.
Nah, it's good, man. It's good. It's, you're sharp enough. Should be good stuff. All right, should we get into it?
Yeah, let's go.
All right, Vincius, Oliveira, Hugo, Madrigal. Interesting fight that this is the first fight. A lot of these best fights usually open up the card. I think that has something to do with Dana White and, maybe making sure people tune in from the start. But yeah, obviously Oliveira is very good. He's quite steamed. I know my boy Pierce got underdog line. It is what it is. But yeah, he's been tested. He's the UE Warriors champion. Or he was until, Ali Taleb killed him. But yeah, just a wild guy. Muay Thai guy, very cocky, has some power. He constantly swings wild hooks, and yeah, he can be hit. He's been knocked out multiple times, by Ali Taleb and Adriano Ramos, and even Christian Quinones is in the UFC now, and they both fought Quinones, these two. I was wondering when Madrigal would be in the UFC. One of the Contender Series episodes, I talked about him. He's fought like the who's who of Mexican regional guys. Flores, Pipe Vargas, Rojo, Castaneda as well, I'm pretty sure. Maybe I'm wrong. No, I didn't fight Castaneda. But yeah, both the Quinones brothers. Yeah, he's good. He took a big layoff after getting sparked by Rojo, like 3 years. And then he's come back and he's just using his striking more often. Obviously submitted Quinones in the last fight. But yeah, I think he's good everywhere. He's got a very good jiu-jitsu game. If anything, I look at unders here just because of Oliveira's defensive issues and Madrigal kind of using his striking more recently. And he's got that submission upside. And yeah, no way I can lay the juice on Oliveira, even though I think he's good. But yeah, I'm considering a dog here just because the line is a bit out there. What about you, mate?
Yeah, man. Nice breakdown. I mean, with the durability issues we've seen from Oliveira, I get that he's gonna probably have a lot of success, especially early in this fight. But Madrigal is a dog, dude, and like Oliveira's, he's been finished in all of his losses. I think plus 280 is a bit too wide with how hittable Oliveira is. Um, I think his submission game is pretty opportunistic as well. Teco was kind of beating the shit out of him before he pulled that submission, not out of his ass, but he just like stayed in the fight, despite the adversity. And I think that's like in play here too. I think Oliveira could tee off on him early and then possibly slow down and then Madrigal get a submission. So I played Madrigal at plus 280, and I also threw a little bit on the submission at plus 2000. It's been a bit steamed. I think it's like plus 900 now. So, yeah, I just think the line is wide for someone who has durability issues. And like I was expecting Oliveira to be bigger than him, but watching weigh-ins, they're the same size, and I like Madrigal's composure. I could see Oliveira chasing a finish and gassing out, and then getting finished himself.
Yeah, Oliveira's got that typical Brazilian IQ that we've been seeing on Contender Series. Coming in there to put on a show, but he fights like that all the time. So I don't see why he wouldn't, unless he comes in like Jay Silva. Like Jay Silva, I like as a dog because he's not going to fight like that on Contender. Some of these dudes just kind of bring it in a bit for Contender to take it more serious. But I haven't seen Oliveira fight any other way than his style. So that's why I can't lay the juice. The only thing I've never seen him submitted. But what I don't know. Maybe you can
Yeah,
agree.
but I mean, like, I'm not saying that it's like super likely, but
Mm, mm.
the line was plus 2000.
Yeah, of course, of
And
course.
he kind of had that creative standing armbar attempt on Quinones that he almost tapped him with that. So
Mm.
I just think it's live.
Yeah, man. I mean, that seems to be his path. He's just people might have forgotten if they haven't taped his older fights. But yeah, we agree. We agree. Let's move on. All right, this fight right here. Uh, Carly Judas versus Ernesta Carrot's Kite. Heavy-handed, apparently. And Carly is crispy. So I agree with one of these names. I basically think that, yeah, Carly should be the favorite. I think she just kind of hits harder and is a little bit more crispy. And whereas Ernesta is, I mean, she's got a lot of decision wins, a lot of split decisions. It's kind of self-explanatory, a more dangerous physical girl versus a girl that's kind of a wet noodle and doesn't have much finishing upside. But if this stays 3 rounds, a kickboxing fight, then I don't know if I can lay the juice on Carly, assuming she doesn't get the finish. I know, people talking about playing Verbeek over Knudsen because they thought there were three. There was just two kickboxers. I didn't see it there on tape. Knudsen looked miles better in every aspect. This, yeah, I guess I could see the same thing, but I'm not as confident. I think this would be a fight where it makes more sense to play the underdog because they're both going to be standing and they both have the same. They're both kind of green and they have the same age. The only thing is, Ernesta's still training in Lithuania from some Lithuanian gym. It's quite low level. I saw Carly in the UFC PI. But yeah, what is there to say here, man? I've got no strong takes. A little bit of money's coming on the dog. Maybe I play the favorite. I don't know. What about you?
Yeah, I ended up taping this one before the lines dropped for the fight, and I pretty much had Carly at like 60%. So I hit the pick'em line um part of that steam. But I was kind of surprised to see how much bigger Ernesta was at face-offs. She looked a good bit bigger than Carly. But I just like what I see on tape regarding like her striking fundamentals. Like her nickname Crispy, like her striking is solid. She seems to have a little bit of power. Um and yeah, Ernesta's just like super sloppy. The only thing I'm kind of worried about is Carly took it on short notice, and yeah, I'm just worried that she'll slow down later in the fight, and it could play out like closer than the line indicates. So I don't think I'd be comfortable laying a lot of juice on her. Like I said, she took it on short notice, and if you go back and watch her amateur fight against fucking that girl who just let me pull up her name. Um, sh she's a good amateur or Crutchfield.
Mm.
It went the distance, and she kinda slowed down later in the fight, so, her 3 pro wins have all been first round knockouts, so I'm a little worried that she will slow down in this one, but, she's young enough to keep improving. They're both young, so yeah, I'm in the same boat with you, favor Carly, but wouldn't play it at the current line. I think the overs are actually a good look. Um, I don't know. I think this Lithuanian chick should be able to stay safe. Just with how they priced it, it's only like minus 150, I think, to go the distance. That's pretty solid for two green. Is this at fly? Yeah, two green flyweights who like they've been running through bums, but I don't think skill wise they're too far off. But I just favor Carly slightly, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does, man. I agree. I forgot to mention that amateur fight. That's the reason I'm not playing it. When she did get extended, um, yeah, it just seemed competitive enough.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Crutchfield is good though. She's 1-1 as a pro, but her loss was to Cheyenne Bowers, and we saw what Bowers did to Little Pereira last weekend. That Bowers girl is
yeah, she's a beast.
yeah, she's a beast. So that no shame on that loss. I think Crutchfield is pretty solid on the feet.
Yeah, I think Crutchfield is a kickboxer by trade. I think I saw that when I was taping Bowers, and I saw a bad striking defense, and then I saw she was a kickboxer. I was like, ah, it's fair enough.
Yeah, she's got good footwork and good head movement, solid striking.
Yeah, I might look at maybe Carla by decision. Carly. That was I wanted to do it with Knutson, and I just bailed. It was like pick 'em. Maybe it's a good line here as well. I haven't actually looked at the props yet, so
Yeah, and yeah, like I don't neither of them show any takedowns on tape either, so it should just be like
mm,
a 3-round kickboxing match, and like how high can you really price a knockout in that? And especially when, Carly is shown to slow down a little bit later in fights.
mm,
But yeah, I wasn't impressed with Ernesta whatsoever, but she's still young too, so she could be making improvements as well. I
mm,
don't know if she was doing any training in Vegas or anything because I followed her on Instagram and a bunch of people from Extreme were following her. So I don't know if she did some kind of training or like some kind of camp there. So I wouldn't be surprised if she looks a little bit better than she has on tape. But yeah, I still favor Carly.
yep. Let's move on. Danny Silva versus Angel Pacheco. I've got a lot of questions about this one. Uh, yeah, Pacheco. I mean, he's running through bums. The one fight he's lost to Nate Williams. It was a decision. That's the best guy he's fought. Maybe this Wilson Journey guy is better. I know he's got a decent record on his CFFC. I think you know a bit more about him than I do. But yeah, I mean, I went on Williams's Instagram just to see any sort of footage, and he was mounted. He was getting his back taken and cranked, and he was like getting slammed from back control. So he obviously just got mauled in the wrestling. I think Angel took it on short notice, but he initially took he started in a BJJ gym, and I think he's still in the BJJ gym, but he seems to be a typical dude that likes to brawl. I know his dad got him into boxing first. I watched some interviews just to get a read on him. And I know Danny Silva well. I taped him for LFA a few times. He's just a bit of a hittable guy. I get that he should be a favorite, but he's a guy that always loses 20. He always wins and drops around 29, 28 because he does get busted up. He doesn't mind eating shots on his face, a bit like Chad, and he rolls with him a lot of the time. Uh, but yeah, just a gritty guy, young guy, losing a comprehensive decision to Kanan Kawari as well. Not really a fan of it, but yeah, I have questions about Angel, and Angel, he can crack, man. He can crack, so that's why I'm kind of not rushing to play Danny Silva. And the line is gone now. There was a much better favorite line. Now it's steamed even more. So if they're gonna strike, he's gonna give Angel the fight that he wants. Angel got dropped by the best opponent he fought, and then he just came back and landed his own flying knee. Landed a rear naked choke. So even though he's not fighting the highest level of guys, I think he's a dog. I think a lot of people might be surprised, but I'm just assuming. It's just I'm going off my gut and my experience in contender series fights, and when I've seen matchups like this before. So yeah, I haven't figured out how to play it. I don't know if I want to play Angel. Maybe a live bet could be good. Um, but yeah, I think there's a lot of things that can happen in this fight. So don't have a strong read at the moment. What about you?
Yeah, I do think it's a bit of a volatile fight. Um, yeah, Angel's win over Vilson in CFFC was a really solid win. Vilson is super solid. He's got a ton of power, very well rounded, has a ton of experience. If I'm not mistaken, he's the champion there now. He's on like a 3-fight winning streak since fighting Angel. Um, and yeah, I kind of think Silva's going to be the Twitter mush of the week. I think I think Angel is way more alive than the odds indicate. To be honest, he did this camp with the Boston Cartel guys, so full camp with full time with Rob Font and Calvin Qatar, and apparently he was like living at Tyson's house. So he's taking it super serious. I like what I'm hearing in all the interviews. And yeah, I don't think Silva's faced a- anyone who hits as hard as Pacheco. And I think the only thing I'm kind of worried about is his striking defense early. He got clipped in the Vilson fight, but like I said, Vilson hits fucking hard, so it's not like that big of a deal. But and I like that, he showed that he's able to fight through adversity. We haven't really seen Silva really fight through too much adversity, from what I've seen. He does seem like a solid prospect, and I do think he'll land in the UFC at some point. I think this could be like a learning moment for him. Angel's a little bit older. He's got a family. Um, I know they obviously both want it super bad and have been training really hard, but yeah, I think Angel is I think it should be closer to a pick 'em, to be honest. Um, and so yeah, I played Pacheco and I also took a little stab on his submission line. He's not like a one punch knockout kind of guy. He usually hurts them and then that leads to the submission. He's got good ground and pound. So yeah, I played the submission at plus 900 and his money line. I think I was potentially going to play the under as well. Um, I don't know about the under though. They both seem pretty durable, but I do lean under with how they both have shown poor striking defense. Do you have any read on the total or anything?
Yeah, I was thinking about the under, but I agree with what you said. It just seems like two durable guys. Like I struggle to see anyone just kind of deading anyone. Like yeah, they might kick the shit out of each other, but I just don't know how hard Pacheco hits. Like do you know how durable the other guy in CFFC? If I knew how durable he is, I know Nate Williams is not durable, but that could have been just such a mauling in the grappling that he maybe didn't get any strikes off, or maybe even dropped them. Who knows? Um, he's just running through bums. Whereas, I mean, Danny Silva is, also not knocking out many good people either. That last guy in LFA was there was a squash match when the whole card fell apart and they all mixed up their opponents. So yeah, I think neither of them. I mean, I can't say for Pacheco, but I think Silva's definitely not a one punch KO guy. So yeah, I assume the under is a minus money.
Yeah, the under is minus 150. I could just see this turning into like a crazy war where like,
Yeah,
they're just like in a phone booth just teeing off on each other and then, one of them ends up getting finished and, maybe it's not they don't like go out or anything, but the ref has to step in.
yeah.
Um but yeah, it's tough to get a super good read on the total. Um yeah, I'm just
I'll probably play the over 1.5 to be honest, if it's decent.
Well, the over 1.5 is minus 200.
Oh yeah, probably not then.
It's tough to play a total in this spot. I do lean it's kind of like one of those spots where I lean over 1.5, but also fight doesn't go the distance.
Mm,
I don't know. I just think Pacheco's the side at the current numbers.
yep, 100%, 100%. Alrighty, I've been neglecting the comments a bit, so run through them and then I'll let you do this fight. Matt XRP, Oliveira, Danny Silva, parlay. Definitely not, mate. I think we've just given you reasons why not. Kurt, gentlemen, looking forward to why you think Silva should get the easy win. Well, there you go. Be disappointed. Mr. Evan, fellas, Evan's been drinking. Nice. Happy Yom Kippur to my Jewish homies. Nice. GRBK, yeah, Silva can fuck up with that line. That's correct. I mean, it was playable maybe 2 days ago, but I couldn't even play it at that line. I just something felt off. But all right, let's move on. Alexander Soldatkin, Mario Piazon. All yours, mate.
Yeah, man. I couldn't find a ton of footage on Mario's side. But yeah, this is a super weird fight. It kind of has that feel of, they're bringing Mario in for Alexander to get an easy win. Like an early knockout or something. He's got, the much better resume. But I do have my questions on the Alexander side. Um, if you go back and watch his tape, he looks like completely roided out of his mind. And then you look at him now and he's much more deflated than he was back then. Like he's like was clearly doing steroids and is no longer doing them. He's shown to gas out. However, he's never been finished, which is obviously good, and he's fought some solid fighters along the way. Um, and then on the Mario side, I went back and the stuff that I could watch a couple years back, he's obviously fighting complete trash cans, like just bottom of the barrel heavyweights in Brazil. But he's only 25 years old and he looks to be in a lot better shape than he was on the footage that I was watching. And, that's only from like 2021, early 2022. So I think he's like training full time and taking it serious. I don't think he has the potential to be a little bit better than the line indicates. They have Alexander as what a minus 400 favorite. I think that's too wide with the amount of questions that are involved in this fight. And with we haven't really seen Piazon's durability. He's been pretty much running through most of his competition. And with how Alexander has slowed down in the past, I definitely wouldn't be laying juice. So yeah, I think Mario's aside. I took a small play on him at plus 350, and I sprinkled the decision line at plus 1,000. He's never been finished, so I just thought that line was super crazy. Um, yeah, did you look into this one?
Yeah, of course. I mean, never been finished. It's a bit hard to gauge when, like you said, is versing literally the worst, some of the worst heavyweights I've ever seen in my life. I actually did do a bit of Instagram stalk, and I found maybe 3 different fights. And, it's hard to get a read on the guy. Like, the first fight that was available, against Hudson Souza, and I agree, he looks a lot fatter there, and that was only in 2021, so that was his first fight of the career. So he's pumped out a lot of fights recently, and, yeah, much better shape now. And he kinda took him down and ground and pounded him out, and it wasn't impressive. And I'm seeing a lot of similar fights on Instagram. So I'm just kind of trying to gauge, like, is this guy like a take you down, ground and pound you, or is he actually a good striker? And there was one where he, landed a knee, dropped the guy, ground and pounded him, got up, and then he just kind of brawled with him until he knocked him out. It just it just gives me the vibe that I don't really know what he's good at, and he's taking down these fat dudes because he can, and he might not really be a wrestler, maybe just a brawler. And Alexander's definitely going to be the sharper, cleaner striker early. I agree with you about the steroid thing. I went to watch his early decision because he just absolutely cardio gassed in his last Aries fight, and he didn't do anything. He just ended up getting on top and stayed on top until the end of round one, and then he was dead round two. So it's like he did nothing on top. You could just waste time. And then when I went to watch that previous decision, it was fine. He looked fine, and the first thing I noticed, he looked 10 times more jacked. And I was like, maybe he was younger, like these heavyweights, the older they get, but he's in his prime. He's 30 years old now, so he shouldn't be like getting chubbier as he's training more and, maybe taking it more seriously. So definitely the steroid thing. And then it's like, how's the cardio going to look off steroids? All we have is that Aries fight where it looked awful and it wasn't even a finish. And that guy's not hard to finish, that Bosnian bloody rolling jiu-jitsu guy. And it was just a shoulder injury that got the finish. So it's like I just have a million different signals. I don't know what Piazon's about. I don't know how durable he is. I mean, yes, he's never been finished, but like we just talked about, he's fighting like really fat dudes, like 0-0 fat dudes. And then this other guy, Alexander. We got all this tape of him running through people, but now he looks completely different. And he was definitely going to go to a decision against that Aries guy. So it's like this could be a really, really sloppy fight, man. Sloppy fight. It's kind of like last week. I felt really comfortable, hammering the Gadziev under because I was like, I've seen Gadziev go against Stosic, who was in the UFC, extremely durable fighter, and he one punch KO'd him. I was like, this guy is good enough to knock out anyone. With Alexander, I'm looking through his record. A lot of the Brazilians he's knocking out have been finished like all the time, and all I know it's definitely a dog or pass. Maybe the under if you're feeling like he's capable enough of finishing him. If you feel like it's a squash match, but I don't feel as confident as last week's main event. This feels like you can just go out into the sloppiest heavyweight fight, and who the hell knows what's going to happen, man. It's a pass, dog or pass, and I could see a million things happening. I could see an early finish. I could see a finish both ways. I could see a gassy decision. So I'm just going to lie bet it and maybe look at some props, but I guarantee, I have a feeling like the under 1.5 is going to be juiced and it's not going to be as warranted.
Yeah, so the under 1.5 is -220.
Yeah, horrible. That's a
And
trap. I
goes the
feel.
goes the distance is +375. I don't think that's terrible, man.
I
Like
did
I
expect.
said,
A,
I played his decision line at +1000, so
mm, I did expect something better though for a decision, to be honest, like a little bit better, but it's probably been steamed. Um,
no, that's what it opened up as. You
oh
know,
really?
neither of them have been finished, so, I don't
Yeah,
think.
I guess. But then they're both finishes, so I expected something better.
Yeah, true.
GRPK, German MMA is kind of low level, but it's heavyweight. Well, the thing is, he's not. He's fighting a lot of Brazilians. I do know there's not many good Germans, but he's actually. And one of the Brazilians was on Contender Series and got finished by that Kuniev. He's fighting well-known Brazilians, but yeah, a lot of them have been finished.
Yeah,
Alrighty.
those Brazilians are all bums that he was finishing, but maybe Piazon is a bum too. I
Yeah,
I don't really get like super bum vibes from him. Like he's only 25, but yeah, it's heavyweight. It's not easy for them to get, or it's easy for them to get early finishes. But yeah,
yeah.
I like the overs, the underdog and underdog by decision.
He kind of reminds me of Neves. You know Neves, the LFA fat boxer. Just like fat, confident, all finishes, and then he's been on Contender Series twice, and he's messed it up twice. But
Yeah, I
at least Neves was tested. He's had a decent amount of competition. Yeah.
I think Pierce referred to him as Carlos Felipe 2.0
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah. Who the hell knows, man? We've got such awful tape on his Instagram, but we're gonna find out.
Yeah,
Alrighty.
Sean Shelby's just like going down to the favela to grab these bums to give them $6,000 to showcase the opponent.
Who knows, man? Who knows? Apparently, Alan was a bum last week with wrestling and no striking. So yeah, there's a lot of hidden gems on Contender Series. We're gonna find out. All right. Luckily, we're ending with probably not the highest level fight. I think the first fight is the highest level fight, but this is a decent level CFFC, potentially title fight. Because of that, I taped this one extensively. I was like, this line is close. I know I can get a read if I just, watch all the amateurs, watch all the pro fights. I don't know if I left wanting to play anything. I was kind of leaning Danny Barlow just because he seems like the smarter, more cerebral fighter. Raheem Forrest is kind of wrestler. He doesn't have the best control or the best finishing upside on wrestling. I mean, he submitted Trevor Olson, who was 5-4. Other than that, he kind of just holds on to dudes. Donovan Beard had a lot of top time in round 2. He can be taken down himself. I think Barlow can take him down. I think Barlow's, sharper, cleaner striker, but he does fights with his hands low. I think Raheem Sterling also, not Raheem Sterling, Raheem Forrest also has underrated power. We see him spark lines, and he dropped Lubitz a few times and, won a split in a round round decision. But there he almost got finished multiple times by a half dead Lubitz. He's got a lot of bad IQ stuff that he does. Like offensively, he's good, but defensively, like I said, Donovan Beard like grappled him. So he's like a good offensive wrestler that can be grappled himself. And yeah, I don't know. But he's young, man. Both these guys are young. Like he's 26, Barlow 28. Barlow, I went back and I assumed he might have issues with his takedown defense. There's not a lot of tape. I went back to his amateur where he got um, heel hooked. He got heel hooked by. Let me just find the guy. I think it was his second last fight. He got heel hooked by Keith Dole, and that guy was 5-1 at amateurs, and I think he's like 6-0 now as a pro. Let me just double check. 3-0. So he's good. He's only lost one fight, and he's obviously a good grappler. So, but I don't think Raheem can, proactively wrestle here and hold him down, and he seems to have improved recently. So, yeah, I don't know. It seems like a good competitive fight, and I lean Barlow. For just a gut feeling that I have, from what I've seen, I lean his IQ. But then I double checked, and he's just fought nobody as well. So it's like it's hard to tell. But you just kind of have to assume that he's good, despite the competition. This Dustin DePuma guy, who was 1-0 at the time, I think he's 1-1 now. He had a deep rear naked choke, and he got out of it, and then he lit him up. So what I like to see is I like to see that in my dogs or the people that I'm playing, like no quitting them. But yeah, that's how I lean, man. It's a very competitive fight. I'm hoping maybe some money comes in on Forest, but it's trending towards Pick'em. I don't know. You're a CFFC guy. Maybe you have a strong take here.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't say I have a strong take, but I think both guys are solid. And, looking at the lines in the market right now, I think a finish is being priced a little too much here. They're both durable. They both have like enough experience to this point where I don't think they're gonna make like incredibly dumb decisions to get themselves finished. Neither of them are really like that good of finishers. Uh, so yeah, I thought the over 2.5 and the GTD lines were quite generous. I saw plus 179 for the over 2.5 and plus 195 for goes the distance. So I put a little bit on each of those. It's tough to get a real read on how the fight is actually going to play out. I think there's going to be a good amount of clinching. a good amount of takedown defense, stalling out. It could get a bit sweaty because I do think Barlow packs more power than Forrest. I do think Forrest is going to be able to get takedowns though. His, like you said, his control is not great though, so I could see Barlow working his way back up. But I did see on Barlow's tape that his takedown defense isn't the best. I think it's the Olesen fight where he was taken down, but he eventually worked his way back up. So yeah, I lean Forrest. Actually, I don't even really have a strong lean on the money line side, to be honest. It's just a complete pass for money lines, but I just like it to go over. What do you think about the total?
Yeah, I don't trust Raheem Forrest. Like he was rear naked choked by Charlie Radke, who the guy hasn't like submitted anyone else. That's what I mean. He wants to grapple, but I can completely see him doing like a brain fart and Danny Barlow either KOing him or even submitting him. So, and he's on short notice. He might come in with rabies. I don't know. I get it. I get it. Is the over minus money?
No, like I said, it's over 2.5. It's over 2.5 though. It's plus 179, and GTD is nearly 2-1.
Yeah, I'll pass on it because I have a sneaking suspicion Barlow maybe finishes him, but it's not a strong take. It's not something I've like laid the juice on yet.
Yeah, Barlow has, he's fought multiple bums who he wasn't able to finish either though, so
mm,
that's the only thing. That's why I was like kind of confused why the GTD was 2-1 because, he half of his wins are not half of them, but he's got multiple decision wins. He seems super durable himself. And yeah, like his knockouts are over like absolute scrubs. So yeah, I I couldn't get a read on the money line side, but yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if, Barlow got a late finish. Forrest has like inconsistent cardios. Like he dug deep in that beard fight. Um and I wouldn't be surprised if something similar happened here where, they're fighting for a takedown, to win the fight. It's 1-1.
yeah, the thing is, beard is so bad. You should not be getting grappled for a whole round like that, like round two. Yeah, I don't know,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, that's why I stayed away from the money line. But yeah, like Barlow has shown bad takedown defense too, and he lost good minutes of the fight against Olesen, who's a bum as well.
Yeah, that was the one where he had his back taken, I think. Um, no, Ollison. No, he ran through Ollison. He was in 4 minutes. I think the Puma fight.
Oh yeah, DePuma,
Yeah,
DePuma.
he's the one that had. That's the first fight I watched, and he had the deep rear naked choke, and I was like, nice. I like to see that. I do the same thing. I get my back taken all the time, and then I just kind of gut it out. But it's not hard to escape if you just like do the steps. So I was like, nice. He knows how to get out of that stuff, but he's also put himself in there way too easy. But yeah, I'll retape. I'll retape, and we'll look into this. It's a tough card. I definitely don't want to be forcing stuff on this last contender series before the end of September. But yeah, things will pop up. Let me just address the comments. LP, big ups, BigSteve, good analysis, very sensible staking, structure towards betting, respect. Well, I've been staking like an idiot recently, but thank you, mate. Well, two big brains for the piece of one. Let's go. Thank you, Mr. Sando. GRBK, Barlow was there when AJ lost. He was in his corner narrative time. That's what I noticed. Barlow doesn't really train out of a good gym, but I don't think Raheem does either. A lot of these CFFC guys don't. Maybe Barlow got some minutes with Bryce and will grapple his way to decision. I think it's going to be competitive, and yeah, at some point, Raheem's going to make a mistake. All right, I'll quickly go over the card. I might be on there with Madrigal with you, mate. I think the line seems wide. Maybe some unders to be safe. Judas. I mean, hopefully Lime comes in some more. Pacheco. I don't know if I'll join you with Pacheco. There's so many questions. Maybe if the line gets out of whack, I'll be forced. But it's definitely a dog or pass. Soldakin Piazon, man, this fight is like such a stay away. And Barlow Forest, we'll see. We'll see how I go. I have to do some more deep soul searching. But yeah, man, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, I don't have the opportunity to live bet these fights, so I
Yeah.
maybe that's why I'm like a little more aggressive with my underdog plays. I know you're able to get some live bets in, but I'm not able to, so I have to get it all in pre. But if I
Mm.
had live, I might be a little more cautious, but yeah, I do see value on multiple dogs, and it seems like they're pretty unpopular on Twitter, and I usually do like to see that.
Yeah, that's good, man. I mean, you have to be contrarian. The only thing is, a lot of the popular dogs were good last week. You know, Alan and Luciano, and I was like, oh no, I don't want to be on these Twitter dogs. Like, but I think that's what scared me away from a big large stake. Um, but yeah, sometimes you just have to trust your gut, I guess.
Yeah, especially with these lower level cards, it's always when in doubt, play the big underdog.
That's it, man. That's it. I still got this bad boy. Yeah, I think people know you by now quite a lot, man. You're doing the rounds. You got your own podcast, the Blunt podcast, with JJ Aldridge, I think. Um, but yeah, yeah. Thanks for doing this last minute, man. It was good. Better than doing it myself.
Yeah,
But yeah,
anytime, man. Anytime.
we'll see how we go, bro. Might have you on for another UFC one or even PFL. We'll see.
All right, sounds good.
All right. Good luck to your bets, and thanks for listening, everyone.